The universe has always been a game of numbers, but in the final year of the Extinction War, the House started cheating. We were fighting the Discordant, a race of transdimensional entities that didn't just have better guns, they had a better version of reality. Their motherships, the anomaly spheres, were massive, pulsing engines of probability manipulation. When you entered their influence, the laws of physics became a list of suggestions that the aliens chose to ignore. In the probability well surrounding their ships, the chance of a human bullet hitting its target was reduced to 0.0001%. Your gun would jam 99 times out of 100. Your grenades would turn into dots. Your engines would simply decide that combustion was no longer possible. They weren't dodging our attacks. They were making it so the attacks never happened in the first place. They were the ultimate pit bosses of the cosmos, and humanity was the sucker at the table with a losing hand. But they forgot one thing about humans: we are a species that thrives on the impossible. We created the 777th, Zero Odds, Battalion. The Luck Gamblers. We didn't bring better technology to the fight. We brought chaos. Our gear was outfitted with entropy drives, devices that used quantum randomized noise to force a 50-50 coin flip on every single event. We didn't try to overcome their 99% bias. We broke the machine so it couldn't bias anything. We embraced the glitch. We weaponized the roll of the dice. I am Commander Ace Sterling, and today we are going to break the bank. Our mission: board the Axiom of Discord, the lead mothership currently anchored in Terra's high orbit. If we don't shut down its entropy engine, the planet below will simply cease to exist as a coherent reality. We didn't use a boarding craft, we used a random walk pod. It didn't have a flight path. It moved in a series of jagged, randomized teleports. The alien turrets couldn't track us because even we didn't know where we were going next. Pop crackle. The pod slammed into the side of the mothership. It shouldn't have worked. The odds of a successful breach were 1 in a billion. But we had the chaos drives redlined. Hatches live. Go, go, go. I roared, my voice echoing through the shifting corridors of the alien ship. We stepped out into a nightmare. The interior of the Axiom wasn't made of metal, it was made of glitch matter. Corridors stretched for miles then shrunk to inches. The floor was sometimes liquid, sometimes solid, sometimes not there at all. The air smelled like ozone and burnt memories. Status check. Keep the drives humming. Vane green. My gun just turned into a fish for a second, but it's back to a rifle now. Sarah, green. The gravity is sideways, but I'm sticking to the walls. The Discordant manifested. They didn't walk, they stuttered into existence. They looked like silhouettes made of static, their limbs shifting between 3 and 5 dimensions. They raised their hands and the air in front of us crystallized into shards of broken probability. Fire at will. Don't aim. Just pull the trigger. This was the madness of luck gambling. We didn't use sights. We fired in completely randomized patterns. My heavy kinetic repeater roared, but the sound was erratic. Sometimes a whisper, sometimes a thunderclap. A discordant entity stuttered toward Vane. It tried to rewrite his timeline to make it so he had never been born. But Vane's chaos drive flared bright rainbow white. The alien's probability sweep hit the drive and shattered. Instead of disappearing, Vane glitched. He appeared in 3 places at once. He used all 3 versions of himself to unleash a hurricane of randomized fire into the alien. The discordant didn't die, it fragmented. It turned into a shower of geometric sparks and faded into the background static of the ship. We're making progress. The engine is in the center of the fractal. We ran through a room where time was flowing backward. I watched my spent shell casings fly back into my gun, then fly out again as I fired. It was nauseating. My HUD was a mess of error messages and flickering colors. Suddenly, a massive probability wall slammed down in front of us. It was a solid barrier of pure no. The chance of us passing through it was 0. Ace, we're stuck. The path is closed. Sarah yelled, her rifle jamming for the 10th time. Nothing is closed in a casino. I pulled a chaos grenade from my belt. It didn't have a fuse, it had a random number generator. Betting the house on this one. I threw the grenade. It hit the wall and did nothing. Then it turned into a bouquet of flowers. Then a brick. Then finally, it hit the jackpot. The grenade detonated with the force of a localized Big Bang. The probability wall didn't just break, it was unmade. It vanished as if it had never existed, and the corridor behind it was replaced by a bridge of solid light. Move. We reached the heart of the ship, the entropy engine. It was a massive rotating sphere of liquid obsidian, surrounded by stabilizer rings, that were trying to force the universe into a single alien-controlled outcome. The noise was a psychic scream of a trillion suppressed possibilities. Guardians emerged, the Inquisitors. They were huge, looming shapes of shifting chrome. They didn't use weapons, they used reality erasers. They pointed at the ground beneath Sarah, and the floor simply vanished. Sarah didn't fall. Her chaos drive glitched her onto a different plane of existence. She was running on air, her boots leaving ripples of neon light as she fired her probability breaker slugs. "I'll draw the Inquisitors." It hit the core. Sarah screamed, her form flickering like a bad holofilm. I charged the obsidian sphere. Every step was a gamble. 1 second I was heavy as a star, the next I was weightless. The Inquisitors turned their gaze toward me. I felt the universe trying to crush me, trying to make the probability of my heart beating zero. I reached into my pack and pulled out the Omega die, a core of pure, uncontained chaos matter. It was the ultimate loser's bet. If it worked, the ship was gone. If it didn't, I was gone. I slammed the Omega die into the rotating obsidian core. "House wins, bastards," I yelled. The interaction between the alien probability field and the human chaos core was a cataclysm of logic. The axiom of discord couldn't process the input. The ship began to unravel. Corridors folded into themselves. The discordant entities shrieked as they were pulled apart by the very contradictions they had created. The obsidian core turned white, then gold, then exploded into a million what-ifs. I felt myself being pulled through a tunnel of infinite versions of myself. I saw myself as a king, a beggar, a pilot, a ghost. Then, with a sudden, violent snap, reality reasserted itself. I hit the cold, hard deck of a Federation recovery ship. I was gasping for air, my armor smoking, my skin feeling like it was vibrating. I looked up and saw Sarah and Vane being hauled out of their own glitches by medics. We were back. I looked out the viewport. High above Terra, the axiom of discord was gone. It hadn't exploded in fire, it had simply ceased to be. The probability of its existence had reached zero, and the universe had erased the error. The sky was blue again. The stars were points of light. The math was back to being boring. Humanity had proven the ultimate truth of the Extinction War. You can rewrite the laws of physics. You can cheat the house. You can rig the deck. But you can never account for the species that is willing to bet everything on a single randomized, impossible chance. We didn't outthink the discordant. We outgambled them. We are the luck gamblers. And we just broke the house. The Extinction War is over. The reality is ours. We're going home. This has been Apex Sci-Fi. The odds were zero, but we're still here. If you enjoyed this reality-bending finale to the war, smash that like button. There's a 100% chance you'll feel better. Comment below. If you could change one law of physics for 5 minutes, what would it be? The saga is complete. Humanity remains. The stars are waiting.